makes the most sense to provide ways for people to clean. You know, like, you complain about the mess. Okay, we'll clean it up, but where are we gonna put it? You won't provide us dumpsters. You complain about the individual smell. I'm sure people would love to take showers, but then you go ahead and defund showers or give it so it's only twice a week. So it's like, we'll do our parts, but there's only so much we can do with no resources to get it done.
Yeah, so did the city provide the dumpsters that came today, or was that...
Neighborhood council, I guess, got together with their dumpster company or something,
Okay.
and they brought them out today, and I'm hoping we can make it a weekly thing or a bi-weekly thing. That way we can consistently keep the park clean. I mean, you didn't get to hear it, but apparently the Parks and Rec people decided not to clean up homeless trash anymore, so our trash just gets left alone. And you know, we don't just bring this in with bad intent. It's that we don't get to dictate who comes. It's outside. We're outside. So people who come, they have nowhere else to go. And some people are not messy, but some people are. What are we going to do besides solve the problem when it presents itself? But when we don't have help from the city or the parks, it makes it real difficult.
What right now is the number one need for this camp?
Well, the number one need is security first. We need to know we're not just going to be tossed out with nowhere to go, because we already came here with nowhere to go. After that, the number two need would be this. It'd be really great if we could have dumpsters provided so we can throw away the trash when people come with their trash. We can't dictate who comes. It's outside. You know, all we can do is be loving and accept, and then do the best we can when situations present themselves. After security and after dumpsters, you know, we're pretty self-sufficient. You know, it's not that we really need anything. You know, we're just like everybody else. We're living our lives the best we can out here. We just happen to be intense, you know? It's just for those larger issues that we all agree with, we can work together. One, security. We don't want to be threatened by the police. Two, dumpsters. We want to be able to toss our things. Three, hygiene, showers, public showers. I mean, even ancient Rome had public bathhouses. But if you guys can't provide that, then please leave the showers we're building alone and don't toss them, you know? Or a perception change from everyone in their homes to not view us as another category of human, but to recognize the humanity in us. Like, just because we're outside, it's not you guys and us, it's all of us. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? It's not a separation community just because you live in homes there and we're outside here. It's still one big community. So, you know, you don't need to view us as sob stories. We don't need a million things. You can just come say hi to us like your neighbor, like you would your neighbor. And that's it. We're living our best lives out here. This is where life happens to have us, so be it. No one's complaining. It's just these small things that we all agree with that we would need help with, like dumpsters provided. Security so our stuff isn't being trashed, because it's real hard to move upwards in society when you have to move every week. Right. These are what we have as homes, our physical homes. So to uproot it every week, it takes its toll. But other than that, just view us as you would your neighbor. You know, we don't need anything from you other than just a friendly smile and a community high. Like, that's it. You know.
Do you find that the community has been welcoming?
Oh, for sure. This community, the vast majority of the community has been welcoming. The ones that haven't are drowned out by the voices of love that have presented itself. But I mean, we're really up against a city, the LAPD, and the rich real estate developers who don't view us as people and just view us as getting in the way of their bottom line. And this is who we're up against, you know? But most of the community, you know, they see it as a human issue out here, which is what it is. It's a human issue.
Why do you think Echo Park Lake was chosen as kind of the place for a lot of folks to come?
You gotta ask God that question. I mean, no one came here with the intention of making Echo Park anything. It's just another spot in LA where homeless people showed up, but the spirit got into all of us, and then we just decided to work together, and then day by day, because it's not, when people think of outside or the streets, you know, because of Hollywood, they think of this, I don't know how they frame it in their heads, but it's just outside. It's just people living outside. Nobody wants to live in an unsafe environment. Nobody wants to live in an unclean environment. We're doing the best we can, but when we're ostracized and alienated by all of society, right? And when we're looked down upon by everybody, that takes its mental toll on a lot of folks, right? Who don't have that positive outlook on life yet. And then you take into account this weird system of, you see, like the city's approach to this isn't about solving it. It's just moving here, and then this area looks real nice for whatever reason they need it nice. And then when they need that area to look nice for the next marathon or for the next whatever the fuck, they go and clean that area up. But you're just, what's the word? It's on the tip of my tongue. Displacing people. All you're doing is displacing people with no end goal of what to do about the issue. You're just moving people as if they were sheep or rats, as if they weren't human beings, just like your mother, just like your brother, just like anybody you love, trying to live their life. Yeah, bro. This is how can we all play our parts in fixing this? And, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and give this interview now, like I have been doing, because for a while I wasn't gonna give interviews. I had made that decision because we did that a lot. And interviews didn't do anything good for the actual community. What it did is it brought a lot of narcissism and ego and people with their own agendas and their own Instagrams and their own nonprofits that they wanted to blow up. But on their way, for example, craziest thing, on their, all these donors and all these nonprofits that have come with their interviews and their let's take a photo of all this, in order to get here to do their good deeds, they had to pass by so many other encampments, which rose the question, why come to Echo Park, like you said? And that's because, unfortunately, through interviews and things like that, Echo Park became the next trend. But it isn't a trend. This is a human issue that needs to be solved. And if we ask ourselves, what can we do to solve this? How can we actually help? It isn't by talking to a faceless 100 million people and then showing them what's going on. That doesn't do anything. What needs to be done, what you can do, is play your part. No one man was made too much greater than another. You can just play your part to the immediate neighbors in front of you, to your immediate community in front of you. You know, don't go passing up 10 homeless encampments just to drop stuff off here. You just passed up 10 groups of people, of uncles, of grandmas, of aunts, of brothers. I mean, if you want to help, help with who's in front of you, who God has put in front of you to help and interact with. Not this weird, I'm gonna save the world and everybody watch me and then I'm gonna get famous from. Like, nah, that's not what it is. Just help the people in front of you, and that's how you get things done. And if everybody did that, everybody helped their immediate neighborhood, slowly but surely, the whole face of the planet changes for the better.
More.
Well, I guess I'll understand, we don't have to take this part. I was against interviews, but it's a battle of ideologies and a battle of perspectives, and this perspective has to be put out there. Like, people have to know that they can already do the most by just doing something. That's the most you can physically do, is with what's in front of you. You really can't do more than that. Just think logically, and let's just get it done. It's an act of getting it done. You won't get nothing done unless you do it. Fact. So if you sit around there just thinking about it or talking about it or you know, having really nice intellectual conversations about how difficult the issue of homelessness is, but fuck all that. It's just a people issue. Go in front, start interacting with your community, and together you guys will find common solutions, and you'll find, you know, it's probably the same all around. We all need dumpsters, ways to throw things away, all need hygiene, all need security, but you know, recently people have been making a lot of hate videos about us, and they've been garnering a lot of attention, and it blows my mind. You know, it's people literally coming with their cameras. You see, at least you're talking with us, sitting down with us. You'll have people treat us like zoo animals and say, hey guys, look at this, they have a generator, or they have 2 tents. Like, what? Right? Like, well, as if you were at the zoo and just saw zebras for the first time, saying, hey, look at these zebras. Like, what? That's one of the issues I was talking about with. So we don't call up our friends and say, hey, we're homeless in Echo and it's a real great situation, come out. No, these are people we don't know until we know. They come into our lives, nowhere to go. If they don't have a tent, we do what we can to get them a tent through you know, the support systems we have. And then once they have their tent, they're set. But we don't know their personality, we don't know their past, we don't know their mental health issues. So if this person then happens to be a hoarder, which is a mental health issue, go to 7 out of 10 garages and you cannot take a step. That's a big issue pervading the whole country on all scales of economic class. So now it's like, okay, this new person that we let into our community is a hoarder. What do? well, they have nowhere to go. We want to treat them with love, but at the same time, we want to respect the area. And it's like, we're really trying to find common ground solutions, but what doesn't help is viewing the situation as a tourist attraction and then just taking images of it, and the person's not even human. That doesn't help. You know, that's highly like what they're doing, wanting to be seen with their face or with their faith, is what the Pharisees did. You know what I mean? It is hypocrisy to want to be seen. It's not about that. It's just having the intent of wanting to actually do something, actually get something done. You know, it's just, I don't even know. I've been thinking about it a lot the past few days. It's a battle of perspectives. It's just like, if you really wanted to help the people in Skid Row, change their mindset. Right? Don't just come give them a hygiene kit and then move about your business, take your photo, give them the hygiene kit, you did your part, and then you'll never see them. Change their mindset. Let them know that just because they're outside, they're not suffering. Bro, you're living your best life. Like, it's great, bro. The weather's nice. You got food consistently, right? Let's keep you warm from the elements, but let's move you up from this point. If this is ground-based zero, you can't go any worse than this. And now take a breath. Okay, you have nothing in your core, but you're safe, you're warm, you got food in you, you got more days ahead of you. All right, let's change the situation. Change the perspective, and you'll really save the person. But if you just come with these hygiene kits and these clothes, all of those bags are clothing. Bruh, there's 50 people in the park. We don't need thousands of clothing. You know, we have people dropping off bags of baby clothes. There are no babies in the park. It just is gonna turn into trash, moldy trash. And when you come just dropping mountains of stuff off on people, you feed into the narrative that they're helpless and can't help themselves. If you really want to uplift people, change their perspective and let them know that they're good, bro. As long as you're eating and you're warm, you're fine. You're rich today, you're poor tomorrow, none of that matters, because you're still you. Change the perspective and you'll change their life.
That's awesome. I'm gonna get a shot of those clothes real quick.
Yeah.
That's
All
the thing
that-
about
all
videos.
that,
Sometimes I'm just like,
I'm not sure if you can hear me, but
Yeah.
all that right there y'all are seeing, all that's clothing. Like, we just don't need that much clothing.
well, and it's also like, I think one of the things I've noticed is people don't ask. I mean, there are every area where there's a lot of the unhoused has different issues, right? Some have really extreme needs, and are getting no attention.
Yeah.
And some,
None.
there's no such thing as a community without need, right? Like, I don't say that with any judgment. Like, my apartment in West Hollywood has needs. You know, that community has needs. Are they the same as the ones in Skid Row? No. You know, you ask the community what it needs.
Yeah.
You know, you don't just show up with a thing. You know, especially in Skid Row, like, there'll be, it's so funny, like, if you go in the summer, there'll be like 10 people that'll all show up with like Takis, because Takis was on sale at Costco that day. And nobody will show up with water. You know, or vice versa. Like, everybody will have water, and it's like, okay, dope, but like, nobody has a toothbrush today. You know what I mean? Like, there's no coordination, there's no communication, and to be honest with you, like, that's kind of something I feel like the city should be doing.
The city should be interacting with its constituents, and that includes namely the people outside. If you know, because it's your system you created, your system of capitalism that's led to this many people outside. All right, so now that that's still here, capitalism's not going anywhere. If you want to know the needs that people need, you got to interact with them. You got to incorporate them in your city planning. Incorporate homelessness in your city planning if you're not going to get rid of the system that brought it about, you know? Like, we just built our own showers there, and we're going to get that running within the next few days. And that's going to be daily hot water shower for folks. And then we could use, you know, some hygiene kits there. But it's like, that should exist everywhere. Like I said, even Rome had public bathhouses for its citizens. Like, the city just doesn't take any consideration into the homelessness issue. They just want to move people so that particular district can look good, so that particular councilman can get reelected. but they don't actually want to solve. There's no empathy or compassion to their fellow human, you know? If all 70,000 homeless drop dead tomorrow, they wouldn't really lose sleep because they don't view us like their brothers, like their mothers, and like their grandmothers. And that's the issue. That's really the number one issue with the city, is that disconnect of humanity. They view us as statistical numbers that can just be moved aside rather than the individual lives that exist in these tents. But they would view those individual lives if it was their son or if it was their daughter in those tents. But that's not the perspective they have.
Yeah.
It's a very selfish perspective they're coming from. Yeah, I find that the reason these numbers grow in all these different subjects is because there are a few people who are making whatever money career moves they feel are so important to make, that in order to make it, let's say they have to displace this entire community. So I can make a profit of 50 million, I just got to get rid of this 2 apartment complexes or something like that. So instead of that person viewing it, okay, those are all my grandmas living in them, I can't do that, they don't have that human connection. So they go, okay, let's get rid of those apartments, rid of people in there, we'll make a $50 million profit, okay, let's keep going. So they're living in this weird disconnect. So basically they're in their weird reality, which it's just like super selfish, where they don't view other people like they view themselves, or view other people like they view their families.
Right.
So they make their choices from that, and that's why numbers rise. Because the police take their orders from the commissioner takes his order from whatever council group he's with, and they all have their agenda, and the agenda is only profiting those at the top. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And they're making these broad brush choices that are affecting thousands of people when they make these choices for the sake of their individual wallets. It's corruption is the reason why all these numbers are rising, on all homelessness rising, deaths from the police rising, all these things rising because of unempathetic corruption. Because of people that don't take the time to just see themselves in other people, or see their sons in other people, or see their grandmas in other people.